I'm Knop. This is my wife, Knop, and we've been married 12.5 years now. We have 4 kids, 2 biological, 2 adopted. I guess we really started talking about adoption, but you really had a heart for it before we even started dating.
We weren't sure we had the capacity to bring in kiddos that present more challenges, which is ironic given the fact that through our domestic infant adoption, God brought us 2 children. Yes, 2 instead of 1. We were expecting 1 baby from a hospital and got 2 toddlers from North Texas. And that for us was just God taking us through that journey. The behaviors that ended up bringing us to stand-up 8 didn't start right away. That was not something we were ready for. And going from 1 to 3 kids overnight is also hard. We actually called because of our daughter initially. The tantrums that were happening were epic. Like I say that word because every kid has tantrums, but there was just no bringing her down. Those hours were long and hard, and her saying things like, I don't love her, or I don't want her, or I want to go home, and home not meaning where she'd been the last 2 years. Those things are heart-wrenching because it was so hard. Like, anything could set them off, or they could yell at you, and it seems so silly, like I said, that little people could send you to that point, but they do, and it happens faster than you think it can. Luckily, we were in a community, and we could share that with them, and they could pray with us, and somebody in that community was in the adoption world. They fostered to adopt themselves. They'd had some of the same struggles, which also made us not feel crazy and that we were messed up or screwed up or that we were doing something completely wrong. We were doing lots of wrong things, but we were doing lots of right things. They had heard about Jen at Stand Up 8, so we listened to a podcast that they did, and then we were looking for help, and I contacted them because it seemed like at that time we needed somebody to come give us tools that we just didn't have to help us understand our kids. We wanted to thrive as a family, not survive, and so that's what we were excited about having Stand Up 8 do.
The fact that they came into our home where our kids are comfortable and they could see more realistic behaviors in the house where they're comfortable was just a huge, huge benefit. Every time Becky came, it was like our kids were excited. They always, after like the first couple of weeks, like they were constantly asking, hey, when's Becky coming again? When's Becky coming? We learned a ton about not just each other, our own parenting styles, but really like what all kids need and what's going on inside their developing brains and what their emotional needs are. And like she came in as an encyclopedia. Like, it's basically a good way to put it. I had somebody I could turn to. I had a resource I could grab to and say, this isn't working, what do I do? Or I just really screwed up, what do I do? Have I screwed my kid up forever? No, and like somebody to remind me like, this is hard, this is normal. Like I feel like I finally understand, and it's not always perfect, but I finally understand what's going on in their heads. Having the tools and the language and the understanding now that like I know how to get onto their level. I cry because I didn't know that we could get here. I don't go to bed with like, oh my gosh, I sucked so bad today. Not as often, and that is great. I don't know any other organization like Stand Up 8. That's a huge, huge, huge asset that a lot of people are missing out on. That needs to be multiplied and sent out. But I want people to know who they are. I want them to know that there's people who can help them. And I want families to know that this stuff that goes on behind your door that you don't think anybody else knows, there are people who know and they want to help, but you've got to know where to find them. I want Stand Up 8 to be able to serve as many families in the post-adoptive world as possible.